What's up guys, Iterating here. In this video, I'm gonna show you the new plugin from Reallusion, the guys behind the character creator and so many other great tools. The name of the plugin is Pose Tools. It is a plugin for ZBrush that allows you to create multiple poses for your character. In this video, I'm gonna do a demonstration showing one of the many ways that you can take advantage of this awesome plugin. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's roll the tape.
Alright, so to start, I'm gonna use Character Creator and I'm gonna use a base mesh as a base mesh for my project. So I'm gonna go to Character, Base, and I'm gonna use the neutral male character here. As you can see, he kind of has like a idle pose here on him. So I'm gonna remove all the pose from the character. And okay, now I have this kind of a T pose. That's going to work perfect for me. So I'm going to select only the mesh from this character, and I'm gonna export using the Go Z. This will send this character directly to ZBrush for me. So just have to click Go Z, and so I'm using this base mesh because those characters from Character Creator has awesome topology, and that will be awesome for me to sculpt this on higher subdivision levels. All right. I also remove all the information that we had on the mesh using Smooth, so this way the mesh is super clean for me. Right now I will elevate the subdivision levels on my character to 5, and I think this will be enough for what I'm planning to do. So let's go. I will use a lot of play build-up and then standard move brush and things like that. The goal here is to create kind of an anatomy base for the character, and just trying to lay it out a little bit of muscles information and bone landmarks. Instead of using like a super flat base mesh, I'm building up this character, adding a little bit of a hair information, creating a little bit of face features for the character, just as a starting point for my poses. And as you guys can see it, everything is pretty rough at the moment because I will refine everything later. Now that we have a basic rough base mesh sculpt, we can take advantage of that and start using the Character Creator Pose Tools. I will click on Record New Pose on the Pose Tools palette, and I'm gonna give a name for this pose. It's gonna call Pose 1. And now it's time for the fun part. I'm gonna start creating the pose for this character. I'm gonna use Transpose Master and the Mask system to move around the limbs of my character and pose the way that I want. I'm gonna put the reference that I'm using on the video so you guys can have an idea. So this is just very exploratory. I'm trying to reach a nice result and adjust the gesturing of the character. After I'm happy with the result, I can click on Save New Record, and Pose Tools will record the movements that I did and the transformations that I did on my mesh. And that's perfect because this way I have a new pose for my character, and it's pretty rough yet, but don't worry. As you guys will see later, I will be able to change that if I want to. So if I unclick pose 1, I'm gonna see the original pose, and if I click pose 1 again, I can see my pose. And that's pretty quickly, and look how fast it is. If I just click pose 1, I can see the pose. That's awesome. So if I click on Edit Current Pose, I will be able to edit this pose that I did before. So I don't need to worry about being like make everything perfect at first, because I will always be able to come up and fix whatever mistakes that I did at first. So let's keep pushing the pose and making it better. Since we move the mesh using the transpose master, we can have some strange areas on the mesh, so we can fix that sculpting and make it look better. And once we are happy with the result, we can click save current record, and this will save all the alterations that I did on my mesh, and that's great. So if I unclick pose 1, I will go back to my original pose, and if I click pose 1 again, you will see that I have all the sculpt that I did saved, and that's perfect. So right now I will use the clay layer strong to lay a little bit of that clay filling effect over the model. And remember, I'm on the edit current pose mode right now. So this way, pose tools will record all the brushes that I'm using on my model. And that's awesome. So this clay layer brush is giving the clay filling to the model. And by the way, this brush was made by Pablo Munoz Gomez if you want to check it out. And I'm also doing a little bit of exaggeration on the model, trying to create a lot of emphasis on the bone landmarks and things like that. I'm trying to create a very distinctive look to the sculpture, so it's easy to be noticed, that all the anatomy details and things like that. So I'm going for a stylistic look for this, and just adding some thuds and trying to have fun while I'm sculpting, and again, small cuts on the mesh, just playing around with the anatomy and trying to create some nice look to the character. And now I'm gonna go back to my original pose, and I'm gonna start creating a new pose for this character. So record new pose, and I'm gonna give a name for this new pose. It's gonna call pose 2. And this way I can start creating a new pose for the same character. So let's do it. So I'm gonna do the same process again, and to pose the character I'm gonna use the transpose tool and the mask brush to mask the areas that I want, and transpose tool to move the limbs around. And this time I'm gonna go for a more extreme pose, more dynamic pose. And I'm gonna put the images of heifers that I'm using so you guys can see where I'm going. And remember, it doesn't need to be like perfect at first, because we can always go back and edit the pose later. So once we are happy with the result, we can click on save new record, and what this will do, will create another slot on the pose tool. So as you guys can see it, now we have pose 1 and pose 2. And if I unclick pose 2, I will go back to my original pose, and if I click pose 1, I can see my pose 1 sculpt. And look how fast I can change from one pose to another. That's just awesome. And the pose is pretty rough at the moment, but again, I will go back and adjust it. And again, look how fast I can change from one pose to another just by hitting the button. It's one click deal. It's awesome. Okay, so now let's go back to original pose and record a new pose, and let's create yet another pose. This is just testing pose, so I will see the ones that I like the most to keep pushing to the final sculpting process. And I'm doing this to show how easy it is to create different poses for the same character using the character creator pose tools. You can play around and test different ideas and different poses and things like this. Again, I'm just using the transpose and the mask brush to get to some crazy pose here and test some different ideas. And once I'm happy with the result, I again just click on save new record, and this will create the pose on the slot on my character creator pose tools, and I can change from one pose to another just by clicking the pose that I want. We can keep going and keep creating different poses, testing different poses for the character. And again, this is great to maybe show to a client different options of pose for a character, or even for yourself. If you're studying or doing a sketch or something like that, and you want to try different pose and click on the fly and being able to see the variations of pose that you did, pretty quickly and easily. So I'm loving this, and I think it's very, very useful. Again, I have another pose, save new record, and now we have 4 poses on our slots. So I was not super happy about pose 3 and 4, so let's try yet another one. Let's go for pose 5. And I was taking a look at my reference here, and I have some nice dancers reference with very dynamic and very, very beautiful pose. So I'm gonna try to go for it. Again, using the transpose and the mask brush to create the pose that I want, I'm able to reach the results pretty quickly. So there we have a very rough blockout. Once I'm happy, save new record, and this will create my slot number 5. As soon as I finished the pose, I knew that that would be one of the ones that I would take to the finish line. But as you guys can see, there's a lot of artifacts on the mesh, as for example this one on the leg, and I can fix that using the edit current pose. I can easily go, and sculpt over my mesh and smooth it out a little bit. Use a little bit of the clay buildup to remove that artifact just for now, because that was kind of bothering me. So now I can save current record and it is fixed. And there is still a lot of artifacts on the module, because again, this is just a very rough first blockout. But I will fix this later on all the poses that I'm going to choose. But right now I'm really into the pose 1, 2, and 5. So yeah, I probably will take those poses further, and I'm gonna take advantage of the edit current pose to, keep sculpting and refining those poses to the same level of this pose number 1 that I already did. All right, so let's do this. Let's start sculpting using the edit current pose and refining the poses. And for the poses that I don't want, I can just select them and use the delete button on the pose tools menu. All right, so now I have pose 1, 2, and 3, and I'm gonna start refining the pose number 2, and I will try to get to the same level of details that I did on pose 1. The first pass is going to be like refining the anatomy, fixing all the artifacts that we have on the mesh because of the transpose, the way that we move the mesh was kind of extreme. So I need the first thing that I need to do is to fix that. And once that's fixed, I will start to refine a little bit the anatomy, lay down the muscles and bone landmarks and things like that, and add a little bit of my own touch to the anatomy to create a very distinctive look to the character. And now I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, the volume of the music, and let you guys enjoy the sculpting process. And again, once I'm happy with the result, I just have to reach save current record, and pose tools will record all the scope that I did. So now I have my pose 2 the way that I want, very similar in terms of the technique to the pose 1. And see how seamless I can change from one pose to another. That's the magic of this plugin, being able to change from one pose to another very, very easily with just one click. That's the magic. And now I'm gonna do the sculpting process for the pose number 3. I'm gonna edit the current pose and start sculpting on this character. Again, trying to fix any artifacts that we might have because of the extreme pose that we did, and sculpting the anatomy, you know, fixing all the bone landmarks and things like that. Again, trying to add my flavor to the sculpt. So I'm gonna turn the music again and let you guys enjoy the process. And again, once I finish my sculpting process, I can go and save current record, and Pose Tools will save all the sculpting that I did on my Pose 3. And I can go around and change from Pose 3 to Pose 2, see and take a look, you know, change to Pose 1, and I have like kind of the same styles and technique for all the pose in terms of refinement, and I can easily change from one pose to another to check. That's great to test different pose. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can use this powerful plugin, and this is just a demonstration of one of the ways that you can actually use it. So another thing that I'd like to show you guys is that you can also use this plugin to play around with different colors for each one of your pose, and I really enjoyed that. So let me show you guys. I actually paint the Pose 3 with this set of colors, you know. I was trying to go for kind of a watercolor feeling, something like that. Very light colors for the sculpt. If you guys follow my work, you guys know that I like to play around with colors on my sketches and things like that. And here for Pose 2, you can see that I use a totally different color schemes, you know. And that's the beauty. You can play around and change the colors for the same mesh. And now I'm gonna do the same for pose number 1, and I'm gonna paint together with you guys so you guys can have an idea and see a little bit of the process of color. It's very simple, it's very basic. I basically start with a standard brush and I, you know, change the focal shift and change the brush for the alpha 28 and just start adding some colors for the character. I'm gonna let you guys enjoy a little bit of the painting process.
And this is just one of the many ways that you can actually use the Pose Tools plugin for ZBrush. This was just a demonstration of one way to do things. There's a bunch of different ways that you can play around and try different techniques. And I hope you guys have fun with it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao!